fabulous listeners. Welcome back to our little corner of the internet, where we tackle the world one country comparison at a time. I'm ready to sprinkle some sunshine on your day. Ooh!
And that makes me Leo. Greetings, Earthlings. I'm here to offer a slightly more cynical but equally entertaining perspective. Mira, sunshine. More like a supernova sometimes.
Supernova positivity, Leo. Anyway, before we dive into geographical showdown, I have to tell you about my recent adventure. I tried to make Chapuri for the first time.
Oh dear, I sense chaos.
I envisioned a beautiful, cheesy, eggy masterpiece. What I got was, well, let's just say it resembled a culinary abstract expressionist painting more than actual Chapuri. The cheese was everywhere. The egg slid off, and the dough decided to rebel against all laws of physics.
See, this is why I stick to ordering takeout. Cooking is clearly a dangerous sport, in picturing a cheese volcano erupting in your kitchen.
Hey, I learned a valuable lesson: leave Georgian cuisine to the professionals. Oops. Speaking of cultural experiences gone sideways, Leo, anything interesting happened to you lately?
As a matter of fact, yes. I attempted to use chopsticks to eat Tremon last week. I consider myself fairly coordinated.
Oh, I'm sensing a challenge accepted kind of moment.
The noodles laughed at me. The broth splattered everywhere. I think I even managed to stab myself in the cheek. Ouch. It was less than Master Noodles and more buffoon versus broth.
Leo, the image is priceless. Okay, maybe some things are best left to the experts. Aha! But these experiences help us appreciate other cultures even more, right?
Absolutely. So, listeners, after our respective culinary and chopstick-related humiliations, we decided to focus on the countries that are masters of their own crafts. Today we're pitting Georgia against Japan.
Georgia, the land of ancient traditions, stunning mountains, and that crazy delicious cuisine I failed to replicate. And Japan, a dazzling blend of futuristic technology, some of the most disciplined food preparation on the planet. Wow.
Exactly. We'll be tackling everything from safety and social harmony to cuisine, nightlife, and of course, visa procedures. Get ready for a roller coaster of comparisons, folks.
Buckle up, Archer Cups. And if you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe. We love to see your support. Don't forget, we'll delve into even more detours over at Jet of AI. Check it out.
And leave a comment. Tell us about your own ravel mishaps. We thrive on schadenfreude. Just kidding, mostly. Let the comparisons begin.
Hello everyone, Mira here ready to tackle another global comparison. You know, Leo, getting here this morning was an adventure in itself, for the city planners designed the route with maximum chaos in mind.
Neo checking in, still fueled by copious amounts of coffee and the burning desire to unleash sarcastic wit on the unsuspecting masses. Mira, your morning commute sounds like a scene from a slapstick comedy. I'd pay to see that.
Oh, it definitely had its moments. Wow. But hey, at least I arrived with a story, right? Anyway, today we're diving into something super important: safety and crime rates. Because let's be honest, nobody wants a vacation where they're constantly looking over their shoulder. Am I right, listeners?
Exactly. I mean, gorgeous scenery and delicious food are great, but if you're worried about getting your wallet snatched every 5 minutes, the whole experience kind of loses its luster. So, Mira, where are we jetting off to today in our minds? That is?
We're heading to two fascinating countries: Georgia, nestled in the Caucasus, and Japan, the land of the rising sun and incredibly polite people. Oh, both are amazing destinations, but have very different vibes when it comes to safety.
Georgia, where the wine flows freely and the mountains are breathtaking. And Japan, a land of ancient traditions and cutting-edge technology. Two very different cultures indeed. So Mira, let's dive into the gritty details who's winning the safety showdown.
Alright, let's start with Georgia. Generally speaking, it's considered a pretty safe country, especially for tourists. In recent years, they've made a big push to crack down on petty crime and corruption, and it's definitely paying off.
That's good to hear. I've always wanted to visit Georgia, sample their amazing cuisine, and maybe learn a traditional polyphonic song or two. But let's be real, A country's safety record is a big factor in deciding where to travel.
Of course, like anywhere, there are still some things to be aware of. Pickpocketing can be an issue in crowded areas like Tbilisi's Old Town or on public transport. And it's always a good idea to be cautious at night, especially in less well-lit areas.
So the usual tourist precautions apply. Keep your valuables close, avoid wandering down our alleys alone, and don't flash wads of cash around like you're trying to attract unwanted attention. Got it. Anything else we should know about Georgia?
One thing to mention is that there can be occasional political demonstrations or protests. It's usually best to avoid these, as they can sometimes turn a little rowdy. Whoa.
Good point. Protests, however noble their cause, can be unpredictable. Speaking of unpredictable, I recall visiting a certain protest once, thinking of photographing the speakers, then something hit my head. I was lucky it was tomatoes, not something worse. So, what about Japan?
Now, Japan is a whole different ballgame. Generally speaking, it's one of the safest countries in the world. Wow! Crime rates are incredibly low. And there's a real sense of security, even in big cities like Tokyo.
Yeah, I've heard stories about people leaving their wallets on tables in cafes and nobody touching them. It's almost unbelievable coming from someone who had his backpack. Almost unbelievable coming in front of my eyes.
It's true. Of course, that doesn't mean crime is non-existent. You might encounter the occasional pickpocket or scam artist, especially in tourist hotspots. But overall, Japan is an incredibly safe place to travel.
Okay, so even paradise has its flaws. Gotta watch out for those sneaky pickpockets lurking in the shadows of Mount Fuji. Are there any specific safety concerns we should be aware of in Japan?
One thing to be aware of is natural disasters. Japan is prone to earthquakes, typhoons, and tsunamis. It's always a good idea to familiarize yourself with emergency procedures and have a plan in case disaster strikes.
Right, those natural disasters are no joke. I've seen some pretty terrifying footage of tsunamis hitting the Japanese coast. Makes you think twice about building a sandcastle, doesn't it?
But the Japanese are incredibly well prepared for these events. They have advanced warning systems, robust infrastructure, and a strong culture of community support.
That's reassuring. So, it sounds like both Georgia and Japan are generally safe countries, but in very different ways. Georgia has made strides in recent years to improve its safety record, while Japan has always been a haven of peace and tranquility.
In Georgia, common sense precautions and awareness can keep you safe. In Japan, it's about being prepared for natural disasters.
So to summarize, if you're looking for a destination where you can relax and feel secure, Japan is probably your best bet. But if you're up for a bit more adventure and are willing to take a few extra precautions, Georgia is...
And regardless of where you go, always do your research, stay informed, and trust your instincts. And maybe learn a few local phrases, that way you won't seem as much of a tourist.
Agreed. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to staying safe. And remember folks, a little bit of sarcasm never hurt anyone. Unless, of course, you're dealing with a pickpocket who doesn't appreciate your wit.
Well, since we're always stirring things up, let's dive into political stability and social harmony, comparing Georgia and Japan. I'm already picturing sumo wrestlers debating parliament proceedings.
Political stability? Dude, those sound like the names of yoga poses. But seriously, this is key stuff for anyone thinking of living somewhere. It's not just about pretty landscapes, living fun doesn't vanish overnight because of some coup.
Oh, Georgia's had its share of ups and downs, right? I remember reading about the Rose Revolution. Whoa. It sounds like a fancy cocktail, but it was serious business. It's been on a path towards more stability since then, though, hasn't it?
Rose Revolution. Sounds like a Guns N' Roses reunion tour. But yeah, Georgia's definitely been through some stuff. It's like that friend who's always got a wild story from their past. At least things are relatively calm now, but you still hear about political tensions.
Speaking of friends with wild stories, has Japan ever had a revolution? I can't imagine salarymen throwing Molotov cocktails. Wow. It seems like it is all Zen gardens and impeccable order.
Revolution? In Japan? Dude, the most rebellious thing they probably do is when mismatched sucks. Seriously, Japan's like the poster child for political stability. It's been the same ruling party for ages. Some might say it's boring, but hey, predictable is good when you're investing your life savings.
Predictable is good, but does that predictability stifle things? Like, is there room for passionate debate and societal change? Or is everything just polite?
Polite? Dude, polite is Japan's middle name. But under that calm surface, there are definitely societal issues. You know, the aging population, work-life balance. They just deal with it in a very Japanese way, which usually involves bowing and apologizing profusely.
Bowing and apologizing. Speaking of which, is social harmony just a code word for conform more else in Japan? Oh, I'm picturing everyone dressing the same and liking the same things. Yikes.
Conform? Well, let's just say they appreciate a certain uniformity. But there's also a strong sense of community and respect for others. It's like everyone has agreed to play their part to keep society running smoothly. It's why you can leave your wallet on a park bench and it'll probably still be there later.
Leaving your wallet on a park bench? Whoa. In some places, that's an invitation for a free shopping spree. So, Georgia versus Japan. One's got a bit of spice. The other's got a whole lot of zen. Which one is better for expats, so?
Spice? Sai. Versus Sen. Dude, that depends on your tolerance for risk and your need for stability. If you like things predictable, Japan's your spot. If you want a bit of adventure and aren't afraid of some political drama, Georgia could be interesting. Just don't leave your wallet on the bench.
If you're deciding between Georgia and Japan, consider whether you prefer predictable politics or a bit of that spice. And as always, do your homework. Maybe Jet Off AI has some stability scores. Like and subscribe if you found this helpful. It's just a click.
Yeah, check out Jet Off AI. They probably have a political stability index or something. Oh, and if you do move to Japan, learn how to bow properly. It's practically a national sport.
Well, hello Globetrotters. Let's talk cash, shall we? I'm super curious to see how Georgia's wallet compares to Japan's.
All right, Mira, let's dive into the economics of it all. I'm grabbing my sarcastic lens. What's the first absurd detail we've got on Georgia?
Georgia's got that emerging market vibe, right? Like a plucky underdog in the world economy. It's all about growth, but also, you know, those little growing pains. Wow.
Underdog, huh? More like a caffeinated squirrel trying to keep up. Is their currency as unstable as my morning moon before the first cup?
Not that unstable, Leo. More like charmingly unpredictable. You can actually live pretty comfortably there on a budget, especially if you avoid splurging on KHHappery every day. Ooh.
Charmingly unpredictable, I like that. So, KHA chapter is like their economic indicator? If it's expensive, run for the hills?
It's more of a delicious warning sign. Seriously though, rent outside the capital Tbilisi is... you could practically live in a castle for the price of a closet in Tokyo.
A castle made of cheese. I'm picturing edible real estate now. But alright, let's swing over to Japan. Land of the rising sun and the wallet shrinking sushi.
Japan is the sophisticated older sibling, isn't it? Everything is so organized, efficient, and eye-wateringly expensive. Wow.
Eye-wateringly expensive, perfect. My bank account just shuddered in sympathy. Is it true you need to sell a kidney to afford a decent apartment in Tokyo?
Not quite a kidney, Leo, but maybe an arm and a leg. Seriously, housing costs are insane, especially in the big cities. Though the bullet train is an amazing experience. Ooh.
Bullet train versus cheese castle. Decisions. So what about the job market? Can you actually make money in Georgia, or is it all about surviving on charm on cheap wine?
The job market is developing. Think tourism, hospitality, maybe some tech startups. It's not exactly raining high-paying gigs, but there's definitely potential.
Potential is good. So, you're saying you could start a business selling KHHap Yuri-shaped stress balls? There's my $1 million idea.
Okay, now you're onto something. But back to Japan's stable economy. Amazing tech sector, but fierce competition. You've got to bring your A game and your Japanese language skills.
A game, huh? I'd probably just show up in a Godzilla suit to stand out. Is that considered professional in Japan?
Probably not the best strategy, Leo. Stick to the tech skills. But seriously, the salaries are good, but the cost of living eats into that pretty quickly. Ouch.
Right, so you're basically working to pay for tiny apartments and vending machine coffee. The dream. Tell me, Mira, is there any escape from the expensive in Japan? Is there some remote village where you can live on rice and good vibes?
There are definitely cheaper areas outside the major cities. Think rural communities, slower pace of life, and stunning natural beauty. But you might have to trade in your city life for, like, farming or teaching English.
Farming, huh? It'd probably just end up creating a new breed of mutant vegetables. But okay, Georgia's got the budget travel vibe. Japan's got the tech salary but expensive everything vibe. Any advice for our listeners who are, say, accountants pondering where to set up shop?
If you're after adventure on a budget, Georgia is calling your name. If you're career-focused and willing to shell out the big bucks, Japan's the place to be. But jet off fait, I can give you the specifics on visas, taxes, and all that fun stuff.
Wise words, Mira. So it's all about priorities, right? Pocket change versus bullet trains. Now, if you folks watching this on YouTube have any thoughts, drop them in the comments.
And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's free, and it makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Folks, let's talk about where you'll be sleeping or trying to sleep in Georgia and to sleep in Georgia and Japan. When you're planning a move, you want to know if you'll be living like royalty or roughing it like a budget backpacker, right?
Exactly. Are we talking ancient castles or pod hotels? Because frankly, I'm not sure my bag can handle another capsule experience. But seriously, finding the right place is key. So Mira, what's the Georgian deal?
Well, Leo, in Georgia, especially in Tbilisi, you've got this mix of old world charm and, shall we say, developing standards. Oh, you can find apartments in these stunning, historic buildings with ornate balconies, but be warned, the plumbing might be from the Ottoman Empire.
Ottoman Empire plumbing, you say? I can see the Instagram posts now living that 15th century life with a bucket. So, are we talking fixer-uppers or something more modern?
New mixed bag. Newer buildings are popping up, especially in the city center, offering modern amenities. Think elevators that actually work and maybe even a dishwasher. Well, but these come at a premium, of course.
Of course. You want a working elevator, you gotta pay for it. Got it. So, it's like a lottery, roll the dice and hope you get an apartment with all the modern amenities.
Pretty much. Rent in Tbilisi can range from surprisingly affordable to wait. Did you say how much? It depends on the location and the condition. But compared to Western Europe, it's generally cheaper.
Good to know for our budget-conscious listeners. How about Japan? I'm picturing super efficient apartments with robots doing your laundry. Am I close? Huh?
But maybe a bit too futuristic, even for Japan. Japan has a reputation for small spaces, and its true apartments, especially in cities like Tokyo and Osaka, can be quite compact.
Compact is putting it nicely. I've seen showboxes bigger than some Tokyo apartments. But they're clean, right? I need to know I won't be sharing my tiny space with any unwanted roommates of the creepy crawly variety.
Cleanliness is practically a national sport in Japan. Oh, even in older buildings, you'll find things are impeccably maintained.
Okay, that's a win. It'll take a tiny, clean apartment over a spacious, cockroach-infested one any day. So, what kind of options are we talking about? Standard apartments?
Standard apartments are the most common, but you can also find traditional houses called nakaya, especially in Kyoto. Wow, they're beautiful but often lack modern amenities.
So it's a similar trade-off to Georgia charm versus convenience. How about these infamous capsule hotels I keep hearing about? Are they a long-term housing option?
Capsule hotels are more for short stays, like a super budget hotel. Think overnight crash pad, not I'm moving in. Very unique experience, but not exactly spacious.
Noted. Capsule hotel's fun for a night, not for a lifetime. So, bottom line, what can our listeners expect when it comes to quality in these two countries?
You might sacrifice some modern comfort for affordability, undulled world charm. Do you guys agree with us? But you can find some modern places if you pay a bit more. In Japan, prepare for smaller spaces, impeccable cleanliness, and a higher price to add.
Basically, it's rustic chic versus efficient and pricey. Depends on your style. Got it. So remember, folks, when your style? Got it. So remember, folks, when your new home, consider what's important to you. Is it space? Is it cost? Is it having a toilet that flushes? These are the big questions. And of course, Jet Off AI has some resources to help you with this decision too.
Happy house hunting. Remember, when we upload this to YouTube, don't forget to comment with your questions. We are here to help you. Ready to tackle the wild world of visas and paperwork? It's like a real-life escape room, except instead of a prize, you get a stamp.
More like a real-life comedy show. Mirror the kind where you're not sure whether to laugh or cry. Georgia versus Japan. Let's see who wins the most paperwork for your patience award.
I've heard it's pretty friendly. Like, show up, smile, and they practically hand you a visa with a side of chapuri. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Slightly.
Apuri diplomacy, I like it. But seriously, Georgia has gotten pretty open, especially for short stays. Japan, on the other hand, sometimes feels like you need to prove you're worthy of breathing their air.
You mean I can just show up in Georgia and say I'm here to drink wine and explore caves and they're cool with it? Wow. Is it that easy to become a temporary citizen?
Well, almost. You still need your passport and all that jazz. But generally, yeah, they're pretty welcoming, especially compared to some other places where you need to fill out a novel just to visit for a weekend.
Japan's complicated. Like, you need a sponsor, a family tree, and a detailed essay about why you love cherry blossoms. Whoa, is there less room for spontaneity?
Spot on, Mira. For long-term stays or work visas in Japan, you're wading through a bureaucratic bamboo forest. You need the right paperwork, the right connections, and maybe a haiku to impress the officials.
What about digital nomads? Can I work remotely from Georgia while sipping on some sakurami? Oh, please tell me that is a thing.
For Georgia, generally, yeah, they've got a digital nomad visa. They're trying to attract remote workers, so it's relatively straightforward. Just don't forget to declare your income.
Are they cool with me setting up shop in a capsule hotel and coding all day? Or is that frowned upon?
Japan's catching up, but they're still a bit behind on the whole digital nomad thing. You likely need a proper work visa, which means finding a company to sponsor you. It's doable, just not as breezy as Georgia.
Bureaucracy is a real mood killer, right? I want to experience the culture, not drown in forms. Ouch.
Tell me about it. Bureaucracy can suck the soul out of any adventure. But, hey, it's part of the game, right? Like paying taxes, but with more stamps and less clarity.
Okay, so quick summary, Georgia, easy peasy. Japan, prepare for paperwork that could rival a Tolstoy novel. Ooh, do I get this right?
Pretty much, Mira. Georgia is the chill friend who's always up for anything. Japan is the organized friend who needs a detailed itinerary months in advance.
If you plan to stay jet off long term, it's even more critical, right? So, is jet off AI helpful with navigating this paperwork labyrinth?
Absolutely, Mira. Jet Off can be a lifesaver. They provide resources and guidance on visa requirements and procedures, helping you avoid common pitfalls and headaches. It's like having a friendly Sherpa to guide you through the bureaucratic mountains.
That's a great analogy. So, for our listeners contemplating a move, I guess understanding these procedures is the first step, even before packing your bags. Right. Wow.
Couldn't agree more, Mira. Check the latest requirements and maybe invest in a good lawyer or consultant to help you navigate the process. And don't forget to check out Jet Off AI.
Always a pleasure to travel the world from our studio here on YouTube, even if only metaphorically.
The pleasure's all mine, Mira. Until next time, folks, keep exploring, keep laughing, and try not to lose your passport.
Alrighty, let's chat about healthcare, cause that's a biggie. Especially if you're thinking of moving. Oh, imagine trying to navigate a new system while also battling jet lag nightmare fuel.
Nightmare fuel indeed, Mira. I'd rather face a room full of hecklers than decipher a foreign medical bill. So, Georgia versus Japan. Let's see which one gives us fewer translation headaches and more actual health benefits.
Now, from what I hear, the healthcare system has been improving, but it's still a bit of a mixed bag. You've got public and private options, but the quality can really vary depending on where you are.
Ah, a mixed bag. That's the comedian's cue for a joke. Is it like a grab bag where you might pull out a world-class surgeon or a rusty scalpel? Seriously though, I've read that while the Belize has some decent facilities, things get a bit dicey in the rural areas.
City slickers get swanky hospitals, but country bumpkins might be patching themselves up with duct tape and good intentions. Wow. So, access can be a real issue, depending on your location.
Ouch, makes sense. And I bet the language barrier doesn't help either. Aha! Trying to explain your symptoms in broken Georgian while sweating bullets? That's a comedy sketch waiting to happen.
Imagine mine to explain my spleen feels like it's doing the tango in Georgian. Good luck with that. But on the bright side, medical tourism is kinda a thing there, so you might find some English-speaking doctors in certain spots.
Medical tourism, huh? So you can get your teeth whitened in the scenic tour of the Caucasus Mountains all in one go. Wow, sounds like a group on getaway gone wow. But hey, affordable healthcare at the view. I'm intrigued.
Right? Now, let's hop over to Japan. Totally different ballgame. This is a country known for its cutting-edge tech and super efficient systems. Think bullet trains that for your health. Ugh.
Bullet trains for your health. I love it. I can just imagine being beamed into a futuristic scanner and diagnosed in 0.3 seconds. Whoa, no more waiting rooms, just pure, unadulterated efficiency.
Japan has a universal healthcare system, so everyone's covered. Wow. You pay into it, and you get access to a pretty high standard of care, no matter who you are.
Ah, universal healthcare. The socialist dream. But seriously, I respect that. It means you're less likely to see people selling their kidneys on the black market just to afford treatment. Ah, plus, the Japanese are obsessed with cleanliness, so I'm guessing their hospitals are spotless.
Oh, spotless is an understatement. You could eat off the floor. And the tech is insane. Robots doing surgeries, AI diagnosing diseases, wow. It's like stepping into a sci-fi movie.
Whoa, so are we talking cyborg doctors? Because if I get operated on by a robot, I wanted to at least have a cool LED and a killer bedside manner.
I'm not sure about bedside manner, but you'd definitely be getting state-of-the-art treatment. The downside, Japan's an aging society, so there can be long waits for certain specialists, and the system is starting to feel the strain.
Ah, the double-edged sword of progress. Super longevity means super long queues at the doctor's office. I see. Well, at least you're guaranteed to get really good care. Eventually. And hey, maybe you can use the wait time to perfect your origami skills?
True. And another thing to consider is the cultural aspect. Japanese doctors can be a little reserved. It might not be as chatty or as forthcoming with information as you're used to.
So no drive. House-style diagnoses with a side of sarcasm. Bummer. I guess you gotta trade personality for the side of some... But hey, as long as you fix what's broken, I'm not complaining.
If you're an expat, Georgia might be cheaper and has some English-speaking options, but it's going on quality and access. Spain, on the other hand, is top-notch and universal, but you might face long waits and a bit of a cultural adjustment with the docs.
Well, it sounds like both countries had their perks and pitfalls. But if I had to choose, I'd probably lean towards Japan, just for the robot doctors and the spotless hospitals. Plus, I've always wanted to try that raw octopus soup you mentioned earlier. Ah!
You're a braver man than I, Leo. But hey, whatever floats your boat and keeps you healthy. Alright, Leo, let's stop kidding around, shall we? Georgia and Japan talk about different worlds when it comes to hopping on a bus or bullet train. Ooh.
Mira, you're right. One's like a charming, slightly chaotic donkey cart ride, and the other is like warp speed on the Starship Enterprise.
Okay, maybe not donkey carts everywhere in Georgia. Oops. but the public transport is definitely an experience. Think marshruck as those tiny, packed vans where personal space is a myth.
True. And those marshruck KS have their own kind of charm, though. You never know what kind of music you're going to hear or how many chickens might be riding along with you. It's an adventure in itself.
Adventure's one word for it. Well, Japan, on the other hand, is all about the trains. Spotless, on time to the second. And they get you pretty much anywhere. Wow.
Absolutely. The Shinkansen, those bullet trains, are legendary. You can practically set your watch by them. Plus, the little bows the conductors give? Classy.
Oh, the bows, so polite. You could eat off those train floors. Ah, that's how clean they are. Speaking of which, remember that time I tried to bring a durian on the Tokyo subway?
You're unbelievable. That's like bringing a skunk to a perfume convention. Whoa. I'm sure everyone appreciated that pungent aroma.
They loved it. Okay, maybe not. I got some serious side-eye. But hey, cultural exchange, right? Anyway, getting back to Georgia. The roads, well, they're getting better.
Getting better is the key phrase there. Some roads are great, some feel like you're over dying. You definitely need a good suspension and a sense of adventure to navigate some of those mountain passes.
Tell me about it. I swear, my taxi driver in Tbilisi thought he was in a Formula One race. What? We were drifting around corners like we were in Tokyo Drift Tbilisi Edition.
That sounds terrifying and hilarious all at once. In Japan, the roads are impeccably maintained, the highways are smooth as silk, and the drivers are incredibly courteous.
Courteous to a fault. They'd probably stop and apologize if you accidentally scratched their bumper with your eyeball. Wow. But seriously, driving in Japan is a breeze.
It is, but parking in major cities like Tokyo can cost you an arm and a leg. And navigating those tiny, winding back seats, good luck with that.
Speaking of costs, public transport in Georgia is super cheap. A marshruck car might set you back, like $1.
Yeah, it's a steal. But you get what you pay for a cramped seat and the potential for a near-death experience. In Japan, public transport is efficient but can be pricey, especially if you're traveling long distances.
A Shinkansen ticket from Tokyo to Kyoto can make your wallet cry. Ouch. But hey, you're paying for speed, comfort, and the privilege of experiencing Japanese punctuality. Ah.
Exactly. It's an investment in your sanity and your schedule. But if you're on a budget, the local trains are a good option, though they can be crowded during rush hour.
Rush hour in Tokyo. It's like being a sardine in a can. A very polite, well-organized can of sardines. People are practically origami folded into the train cars.
You've got away with words, Mira. And in Georgia, you might find yourself packed into a marshruck car with a family of 5, a bag of potatoes, and a goat.
But hey, that's part of the charm, isn't it? It's all about embracing the chaos and rolling with the punches. Or the potholes.
So, in the end, Georgia offers affordable but slightly unpredictable transportation, while Japan offers efficient but pricier options. It really depends on your priorities.
So, if you like adventure and saving money, Georgia's your place. If you want punctuality and conditions, Japan's the way to go.
And if you want a good story to tell, either one will do. Just maybe avoid bringing durian on the subway.
Noted. Unless, of course, you're trying to clear out a crowded train car. Then it's a pro move. Hey. Alright, Leo. What's next on the list?
Let's dive into.
Alright, Leo. Leo, let's chat about something that can make or break a trip: language barriers. We're diving into Georgia and Japan this time. Get ready for some linguistic adventures.
Linguistic adventures, Mira. Sounds like a recipe for disaster, especially if I'm involved. I once tried ordering coffee in Italy and ended up with a bowl of soup. But yeah, Georgia and Japan. Different words.
So, Georgia first. It's got this beautiful, unique language, Georgian. Wow, related to any major language family, right? It's like a secret code.
A secret code that probably involves way too many consonants clustered together. I've seen Georgian script. It looks like elegant calligraphy that I can't understand a single bit of.
Don't be intimidated. Many Georgians, especially in Tbilisi, do speak Russian, and the younger generation is picking up English. Oh, survival is possible.
Survival, yes. But charming the locals, that requires a bit more effort. Which reminds me of the time I tried a local in Thailand with my awful Thai.
Well, even a few Georgian phrases can go a long way. Gomarjabe for hello, madlabe for thank you. Aha! Instant phone status.
Damarja Bay, Madlaw Bay. Sounds like I'm summoning a demon. Still, I agree. Show you trying is half the battle.
Now, let's hop over to Japan. Japanese is also pretty unique, and polite forms galore. Go! Get ready to bow and say some ayame-sen a lot.
Some ayame-sen, the Swiss Army knife with Japanese apologies and excuses. You can use it for everything. Bumped into someone? Some ayame-sen. Don't understand something. Some ayame-sen. This.
It's incredibly useful. But outside of major cities, English isn't as widely spoken as in, say, Western Europe.
Effort that usually involves me frankly pointing at pictures in a menu. Or attempting charades that are probably wildly offensive.
Leah. But the Japanese are incredibly patient and helpful. They'll go out of their way to understand you, even if you're butchering their language.
True. Their politeness is legendary. Plus, they have those amazing automated toilets that practically speak to you. Whoa, technology to the rescue.
Speaking of tech, translation apps are your best friend in both Georgia and Japan. Wow, Google Translate can be a lifesaver.
A lifesaver that sometimes provides hilariously inaccurate translations. But hey, at least it's entertaining.
And learning a few basic phrases shows respect and opens doors. Aha! Plus, it's fun.
Fun until you accidentally ask for pickled penguins instead of plain water. Oops! That's when you realize you should have paid more attention in language class.
But hey, even those mishaps become great travel stories, right? It's all part of the adventure.
An adventure best fueled by strong coffee and a willingness to laugh at yourself. Ooh, got any travel stories, Mira?
Okay, everyone. Let's step into cultural diversity and tolerance, comparing Georgia and Japan. I'm super curious about this one.
Georgia and Japan, huh? One's all about ancient traditions. The other's like a futuristic anime convention. How can we make fun of this?
Georgia, nestled in the Caucasus, is this amazing mix of cultures, right? Oh, you've got Georgians, Armenians, Azerbaijanis, Russians. It's like a real-life United Nations.
In Japan? Well, historically, it's been pretty homogenous. But, hey, even samurai gotta share their say sometimes, right? Seriously though, times are changing.
I heard that Georgia has been trying to be more tolerant, especially after all those years under Soviet rule. Wow! They're trying to show off their hospitality to everyone.
Whoa. Does that mean I can waltz in there with my coffee addiction and start critiquing their KHH? Ouch. I mean, culturally speaking, of course.
Maybe hold the coffee critique. But yeah, they're making strides. There are efforts to protect minority languages and cultures.
That's cool. In Japan, you're seeing more foreigners, especially in the cities. Are they adapting or are they changing the culture slowly? Like adding soy sauce to everything?
Soy sauce on everything. I can imagine it. Wow, but seriously, Japan's getting more diverse whether they like it or not.
So, what about tolerance on a personal level? Do Georgians and Japanese folks actually get along with outsiders? Are they just pretending?
Near's personal research reveals some Georgians are super welcoming, especially if you show interest in their culture and food. The Supra is a big deal.
Supra? Sounds like a sports car. But seriously, I get it. Food is the ultimate icebreaker. Everyone loves free food.
Free food for the win. But in Japan, being polite and respectful goes a long way. learn some basic Japanese phrases.
So, if I bow deeply enough while ordering ramen, they won't kick me out for making a joke about Godzilla? Good to know.
Probably not. Though no Godzilla trivia might turn you some bonus points. Ah, just saying.
Alright, Mira, this has been fun and all, and super interesting. I just hope our listeners understand you can't slap generalizations on entire countries.
Agreed. Every person is different and every culture is nuanced. Remember to be respectful and curious when you're traveling. And maybe learn a few ants moves.
And that's the bottom line, folks. Be respectful, be curious, and maybe don't spill coffee on yourself like Mira.
Hey, that was one time. Anyway, if you enjoyed this cross-viewer comparison, give us a like on YouTube and let us know what other countries you'd like us to explore.
And while you're at it, check out Jet Off AI for more travel tips and resources. They help keep this podcast rolling and help you plan great trips.
So, until next time, keep laughing, keep exploring, and keep being awesome. Boom!
See ya, friends. And if you happen to spill coffee on yourself, just tone it like Mira.
Yeah. Let's dive into educational opportunities on which schools in Georgia and Japan. Whoa, I'm picturing myself in a classroom already.
Educational opportunities, eh? Sounds like a snooze fest to me. Just kidding, Mira. But seriously, which country has better snacks in the cafeteria? That's what really matters.
You would ask that, Leo. Food is always on your mind. But let's start with the basics. Georgia has been making strides in improving its literacy rates and education system, right?
Indeed. I've heard they are focusing on modernizing their teaching methods. But does that include stand-up comedy classes? No. That's education I can get behind.
I don't think so, Leo. But they are working hard to make education more accessible, especially in rural areas. Ooh, they've got some catching up to do, but the effort is there.
True, Georgia's an underdog in the education game. Wow, but what about Japan? They're practically the poster child for academic excellence, right?
Japan has a top-notch education system with a strong emphasis on discipline and high standards. Wow. Think anime-level dedication to studying.
Discipline, huh? Sounds intense. I prefer learning things the fun way, like through interpretive dance.
Well, Japan also incorporates innovative teaching methods like technology in the classroom. They are always pushing the boundaries of learning.
All right. Japan sounds impressive. Boo. But let's talk about language schools. Which country is easier to learn the language in?
Georgian is known to be a unique and challenging language with its own alphabet. It's not exactly a walk in the park.
Tell me about it. That alphabet looks like ancient alien symbols. I'd probably end up accidentally summoning a demon instead of ordering coffee.
Japanese is also known to be quite complex with its kanji, hiragana, and katakana scripts. Whoa! But there are tons of resources available.
True, you can find Japanese language schools all over the world. Plus, watching anime counts as studying, right?
Well, maybe a little. But seriously, both countries offer language learning opportunities for those who are interested.
Speaking of opportunities, what about scholarships and exchange programs?
Both countries have scholarship options for international students, though Japan is more competitive due to its popularity. Oh.
Figures. Getting into a Japanese university is probably harder than winning a claw machine game. But it's definitely worth a shot.
And Georgia has some great exchange programs that allow students to experience their culture firsthand. Plus, the food is amazing.
Now you're talking. Oh, okay. So Georgia for a relaxed cultural experience and Japan for intense academic pursuit and anime marathons?
That's a pretty good summary, Leo. Wow. It really comes down to individual preferences and goals.
True. Plus, whichever country has better coffee and pastries. Just kidding. Mostly.
You're incorrigible, Leo. But that's what makes you you. Well, what do you think the listeners would prefer after listening to this? Alright, Leo. Buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to jump from one side of Eurasia to the other to talk about weather. I'm ready to compare Georgia's climate with Japan's. Let's see if my umbrella or your raincoat will win.
Weather, huh? I guess it's time to trade those travel snapshots for temperature charts. I'm already picturing myself stuck in some unexpected downpour. Hopefully, there's a humorous side to it. Let's see if Georgia Pan can offer more than just a good chuckle about the weather.
First up, Georgia. Imagine this, you're sipping wine and KGTI with sunshine on your face. But then you remember that up in the Caucasus Mountains, someone's probably building a snowman. What a contrast. Oh.
Mountains, sunshine, and wine all in one climate report. Sounds like a travel brochure Mira's trying to sneak in here. But seriously, Japan has its own geographical quirks. I'm wondering how those tiny islands pack in so many weather variations.
Speaking of Japan, I'm picturing cherry blossoms blooming in spring. But does everyone realize Japan also has snowy winters worthy of a postcard? It's not all just delicate petals and serene gardens, you know. Wow.
Delicate petals and potential blizzards? That's basically bipolar weather. I hope folks pack more than just a floral kimono. Given Japan's location, I imagine there's a typhoon or ready to crash the party as well. Ouch.
Oh, typhoons. You're right, Leo. I almost forgot. So, while Georgia worries about mudslides in the mountains, Japan's dodging monster storms coming in off the Pacific. It's like a weather-themed action movie. Whoa.
Mudslides versus monster storms. It sounds like we're setting up for a showdown between natural disasters. I hope Janofe has some good travel insurance recommendations, because either way, you're gonna need it.
And speaking of being prepared in Georgia, you've got to be ready for anything from similar conditions near Azerbaijan to humid subtropical climes on the Black Sea coast. Talk about packing a versatile wardrobe.
Versatile wardrobe bears. So thermal underwear for one region and swimwear for another. Remind me to bring a folding suitcase. Japan, on the other hand, stretches from Hokkaido's chilly vibes down to Hokkaido's tropical warmth. Layers, my friend, are key. Wow.
And you know what else is key? The local adaptations. Imagine the Georgians building wine cellars to cope with those hot summers, while the Japanese are perfecting earthquake-resistant architecture. Necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Wine cellars versus earthquake-proof buildings. Now we're getting into survival strategies. Let's see YouTube videos on those architectural marvels and see how locals manage it. This sounds like a How to Survive episode from the Weather Channel.
Oh, I'd watch that. Oh, I'd watch that. Okay, so what about my favorite part, the seasonal shifts? In Georgia, you've got the riot of colors in autumn in the forests, then the blossoming vineyards in spring. It's like nature's putting on a show. Oh.
Nature putting on a show, or nature teasing us with its beauty before hitting us with a random weather event? Anyway, Japan's cherry blossom season gets all the fame, but don't forget about those vibrant autumn leaves painting the mountains in shades of red and gold. Wow.
Good point, Leo. So, basically, whether you're hiking in the Georgian mountains or strolling through a Japanese garden, you're in for some serious natural beauty, no matter what the thermometer says.
That's right, Mira. Just be sure to check the weather forecast before you go. Unless, of course, you enjoy impromptu weather-related adventures and potential comedic material, like our podcasts.
And hey, if you're planning a trip to either Georgia or Japan, make sure to visit Janofe for some expert travel advice. It might just save you from a coffee-related wardrobe malfunction, or a run-in with a rogue mudslide.
Speaking of Janofe, you can also find tips on handling those weather-related travel mishaps. Because let's be honest, a good travel story always starts with a bit of chaos.
You got it, Leo. So, whether it's snow or sunshine, Georgia and Japan both promise climate and seasonal conditions that are anything but boring. Now, who's up for packing a suitcase?
Well, I'm certainly packing a sense of humor because with those weather patterns, you just never know what Mother Nature will throw at you. That, my friends, is the punchline.
Okay, Let's talk, Rob. Georgia versus Japan, who's got the tastier traditions and healthier habits?
Georgia and Japan, a culinary showdown. I foresee mountains of chapter versus waves of sushi. I'm hungry already.
Georgian cuisine is all about comfort food, right? Cheesy bread, hearty stews. It's like a warm hug from the inside.
A warm hug that might give you a food coma. But hey, Japanese food is all about precision and presentation. It's like edible art.
Okay, edible art that can be a little intimidating. Like, what is that green stuff next to my tuna? Is it alive? Whoa.
That green stuff is wasabi and it's designed to wake you up. Think of it as a palate cleanser.
Nasal bomb is right. Ouch. I once put too much on my sushi, and I thought my head was going to explode.
Rookie mistake. You gotta dab it, mirror down it. But back to Georgia, what's your favorite dish? Besides, you know, of everything.
Definitely chapuri. It's like a pizza but with more cheese and a raw egg on top. It's basically heaven.
Aye, Anne! Sounds adventurous. I'll stick with my ramen for now. At least I know what's in it, sort of.
Speaking of ramen, do you think Georgians would be into it? I mean, they love soup.
They might, but they'd probably add a ton of cheese and spices to it. Georgian-style ramen coming soon to a food truck near you.
You know what else is interesting? Georgian wine culture. They've been making wine for like 8,000 years. Wow.
8,000 years? Wow. They beat the French. Take that, wine snobs.
Well, since we're talking about drinks, what about steak? That rice wine that can knock you off your feet? Oh.
Sake is sneaky. It tastes so innocent and BAM. You're singing karaoke off key.
I got karaoke. I once did a duet with a stranger in Japan and butchered a pop song. Oops.
Happens to the best of us. I once tried to do a Georgian folk dance after a few too many glasses of wine. Let's just say it was pretty.
I bet it was hilarious. But on a serious note, Japanese cuisine is known for being super healthy, right? All that fish and seaweed.
True. It's all about balance and fresh ingredients. They live a long time over there for a reason.
Do you think Georgians could learn a thing or two from Japanese diets? Like, maybe lay off the cheese bread a little?
Maybe. I doubt it. That cheese bread is addictive. Plus, they walk everywhere up those hills. It evens out.
Good point. And hey, Japan could use a little more joy in their food. Sometimes it feels a bit too serious.
Agreed. A little Georgian warmth wouldn't hurt. Maybe a side of apuri with every sushi order?
Now that's an idea. I need to tell everyone this on Jet Off. I will also say that if we upload this on YouTube, be sure to comment there. I wonder if someone will really order sushi with apuri there. Ooh.
Exactly. And now I feel hunger again. Maybe I should get that sushi apuri combo as well. Wow.
Get ready. History buffs and culture vultures. Because today, we're diving deep into the historical, cultural, and artistic heartlands of Georgia and Japan. Oh
boy, Georgian Japan. Sounds like a geography quiz gone wild. One's all about ancient whitened mountains, the other's rocking samurai and cherry blossoms.
Oh, wow. And let's be honest, both have stories to tell that could fill 1,000 history books. Think about it, Georgia with its ancient churches clinging to cliffs. Wow.
Yeah, those churches look like they're playing a game of daredevil architecture. And Japan's got temples older than my jokes. I'm talking seriously old.
Please, Leah, your jokes aren't that old. But seriously, Georgia's history is layered like a delicious, cheesy chapi.
apuri? Sounds interesting, just Google it. I'd like to eat it, can you send it? But wait a minute, that doesn't exist in Japan. What will they eat? Sushi. But It's expensive?
I know I'm kidding, right? Each region has its own variation. Whoa, but Japan, with its tea ceremonies and calligraphy, is like stepping into a living art form.
Ah, living art, nice way to put it. And those samurai swords? They're not just weapons, they're like metal poetry. Wow, I love one.
Leah, you're turning into a romantic. But let's not forget George's polyphonic singing is like a soul-stirring symphony. Oh!
True, it's kind of chanting, right? Ah, but seriously, those Japanese gardens? So Zen may make you forget you're living in a chaotic world.
And speaking of Zen, Georgian hospitality is legendary. It's like they're trying to adopt you into the family the moment you arrive.
Yeah, they feed you until you surrender and say, Uncle. Yeah, you know, if all countries treated each other like that, maybe we'd have world peace.
Oh, Leo, you're full of surprises. And as for the art scenes, Georgia is bursting with modern artists inspired by their ancient heritage.
Well, Japan's got manga and anime, inspiring all kinds of artists from around the world. You can't deny it. It's a cultural phenomenon.
Agreed. It's like their art is taking over the world one frame at a time. Wow. But both countries, in their own way, are treasures for culture enthusiasts.
That's why you have to visit both countries, and while you're at it, support us by liking and subscribing on YouTube.
Absolutely, facts. And don't forget to check out Jet Off AI for more travel inspiration. Ooh.
That's right, Jet Off AI for the win. Wow. This is what they say, Mira and Leo. Yeah.
Okay, Leo. Let's talk about landscapes. Today, we are exploring the natural beauties of Georgia and Japan. Oh, are you ready to be amazed by mountains, coastlines, and even rare ecosystems? Wow.
Mira, darling, are you trying to turn me into a nature documentary narrator? Fine, but I get to make fun of overly enthusiastic tourists. Natural beauty. Huh? Let's see if Georgia and Japan can impress my cynical soul.
Oh, come on, Leo. Even you can't deny Georgia's got some stunning mountains. Think the Caucasus Range, right? Swainty region is like straight out of a fairy tale. Wow.
Fairy tales? I picture bearded dwarves guarding gold. Seriously though, those mountains are impressive. But tell me, are they tourist trap level crowded, or can you actually breathe the air?
Well, Swainty is becoming more popular but not overrun yet. You can still feel like you're discovering something magical. Think hiking trails, ancient villages, those iconic watchers. It's an adventure.
Hiking? You know, I prefer a scenic drive with a coffee stop every 10 minutes. But okay, watchers sound intriguing. Are they for spotting invading armies or just really neighbors?
Maybe both. But seriously, they're part of the region's history and add to the unique charm. Plus, imagine the views from up there. Wow.
Views I appreciate. Now, Japan everyone thinks of Mount Fuji, right? Bit cliche, isn't it? Can it actually be beat in terms of landscape?
Fuji is iconic, yes, but Japan has so much more. Think the Japanese Alps with incredible hiking and skiing, or the stunning coastline of Okinawa with its turquoise waters and coral reefs.
So beaches and fancy cocktails. Tell me there are some bizarre sea creatures to make fun of. And what about those Alps? Are they full of polite skiers bowing to each other?
Well, the sea creatures are definitely unique. Think colorful fish and maybe the occasional sea turtle. As for the Alps, it's more about breathtaking scenery, pristine lakes and challenging hikes.
Lakes and hikes sounds like it need industrial-strength insect repellent. But, fair enough. Japan's got more than just one mountain. Speaking of which, does Georgia have any beaches to speak of? Or is it just mountains and grumpy shepherds?
Oh, Georgia has a Black Sea coastline. Think Batumi, a vibrant city with beaches, botanical gardens, and a totally unique vibe. Boom.
Botany? Huh? Is that where they filmed the Borat movie? Just kidding. But seriously, what's so special about these beaches? Are they full of sunburnt tourists or charming locals sipping lemonade?
A bit of both. It's a mix of modern architecture and old world charm, so you get a unique blend. Plus, the botanical garden is amazing, perfect for a stroll in some peace.
Botanical gardens. You know I prefer a good street market with questionable souvenirs. But I guess even I can appreciate some greenery if there's a coffee stall nearby. Speaking of unique, Japan's got those bamboo forests, right? Are they as zen as everyone says? Or just full of mosquitoes and Instagrammers?
The bamboo forests are truly magical, Leo. Walking through them is an incredibly peaceful experience. Think sunlight filtering through the tall stalks, creating this amazing atmosphere. It's like another world.
Another world sounds like a perfect place to get utterly lost. Are there any signposts to get utterly lost?
Relax. But seriously, it's an escape from the hustle and bustle. You should try it, Leo. Whoa.
Me, finding inner peace in a bamboo forest? The world might actually end. But alright, I admit both countries have some stunning scenery. But which one has more bizarrely shaped rocks? That's the real question.
Georgia has those incredible rock formations in Vierdia, carved into the mountainside. It's like a whole city made of stone. Wow.
A city made of stone sounds a bit depressing, to be honest. But impressive, he'll give you that. Japan, though, has those crazy volcanic landscapes, right?
No rock monsters, but the volcanic hot springs are incredible. Think soaking in an outdoor onsen surrounded by snow. It's the ultimate relaxation, huh?
Okay, soaking in a hot spring while surrounded by snow does sound pretty tempting. Maybe I wouldn't even complain about the lack of coffee. I guess nature can be alright sometimes.
I need come around. Both Georgia and Japan are bursting with natural beauty. It's just a matter of choosing your own adventure. Wow.
Or, you know, choosing which place has the least chance of me tripping over a rock and spilling my coffee. Thanks for this trip, Mira.
You got it, Leo. Next time, maybe we will cover those ecosystems? Listeners, let's dive into sports, activity, and adventure options in Georgia and Japan. Ooh, I'm already picturing sumo wrestlers and mountain climbers.
Sumo wrestlers. Mira, you're always thinking big literally. But let's see if those images live up to reality. Let's get started, shall we?
First up, Georgia. Think beyond just those amazing KHA chapuri. Although eating KHA chapuri is definitely an activity I'd endorse.
KHA Chapuri tourism now, there's a niche market. But seriously, Georgia is becoming a hot spot for adventure tourism. Skiing in GUDI Yuri?
Trekking and swaying too. I've seen the pictures. Those medieval towers are like something out of a fairy tale. Wow, it's like hiking through history.
Is indeed. And those mountains are no joke. Serious climbers can get their fix. Plus there's paragliding, rafting. Georgia's got something for every adrenaline junkie.
Don't forget about the Black Sea coast. Batumi is a party town. I bet you can find some fun water sports there. Oh, maybe even a KHH Apuri eating contest on a paddleboard.
Now that's an extreme sport I can get behind. But while you're dreaming of floating cheese bread, let's not forget Japan. Get ready, it's Japan's time.
Obvious one, sumo wrestling. But tell me something I don't know, Leo. Well, hit me with that Japanese sports trivia.
All right. Hold your horses. Besides sumo, Japan's crazy about baseball. Like seriously crazy. Their pro league is huge, and the fans are intense. Wow.
Baseball, huh? Interesting. I always picture them more into, like, competitive origami or something. But what about those crazy Japanese game shows?
Those are more entertainment than sport, Mira. But speaking of active stuff, Japan's hiking scene is incredible. The Kumano-Kodo pilgrimage trails? Epic. Ah,
Pilgrimage trails. Sign me up. Spiritually and good exercise. That's my kind of multitasking. Plus, I've heard Japanese temples have the best snacks.
temples and snacks, you're incorrigible. But yes, Japan's got that covered. And if you're into winter sports, think Hokkaido. Powder snow like you wouldn't believe.
Hokkaido snow. I'm picturing snow angels in a kimono. Whoa, but are there any weird, uniquely Japanese sports? Like competitive calligraphy or something?
Competitive calligraphy. I wish. But you've got things like kendo and kyudo, traditional martial arts. Discipline, precise, and seriously cool to watch.
Sounds like something straight out of a samurai movie. Maybe I'll check out archery. Imagine me, channeling my inner Katniss Everdeen in a kimono.
Now that's a visual. But listen, if we're talking Japan and adventure, we can't skip the bullet train. Talk about an extreme way to experience the countryside. Ooh.
You know, you're right. Riding the Shinkansen is practically an Olympic sport. The force alone must count for something. Aha! So, which country wins the sports and adventure crown?
That stuff. Georgia's got that rugged, untamed feel, while Japan offers disciplined traditions and high-tech thrills. It's like comparing apples and, well, super-powered robot apples.
It depends on your style. If you're a mountain goat craving ancient towers, Georgia's calling. If you're a futuristic samurai with a craving for powder snow, Japan's your place. Wow.
Exactly. And remember, whatever your adventure, check out Jet Off AI for tips, tricks, and maybe even a few hilarious travel stories to get you inspired.
And whether you're scaling Georgian peaks or hurtling through Japan a bullet train, don't forget to share your stories and pictures with us on YouTube. Whoa, we want to see your adventures.
And don't forget that if you like our podcast on YouTube, please show your love by hitting that like button and subscribing. We have lots more fun comparisons coming up.
And you can visit Jet-Off AI and read about sports, activity, and adventure options in Georgia and Japan. There is even related articles and podcasts. Oh, what's not to love?
Time for a coffee break. All that talk of adventure made me thirsty. See you next time, folks.
All right, Leo. Let's dive into nightlife and entertainment. Georgia versus Japan sounds like a cultural collision waiting to happen. I'm already picturing a karaoke showdown.
Karaoke? Oh, Mira, you're so predictable. But okay, let's see what Georgia's got first. I'm imagining cozy wine bars and maybe some traditional dances. What's the scene like?
Okay, so picture the Tbilisi nights. Think cozy wine bars, just clubs tucked away in cobblestone streets. And these super cool underground electronic music scenes. It's a mix of old world charm and modern beats.
Underground electronic music in Tbilisi? Okay, that's a surprise. Wow, I was expecting just old men playing accordions in dimly lit cafes. So, is it more like Berlin or is it more like Georgian Berlin?
Georgian Berlin. I love that. It's got that raw, edgy vibe, but with a unique Georgian twist. Think techno music meets ancient history. They're not mutually exclusive. Whoa.
Techno music and ancient history, that's something you don't hear every day. Okay, point to Georgia for surprising me. But Japan has to be on another level, right?
Japan is like entering a whole other dimension of nightlife. Think neon lights, themed bars, arcades that never close, and of course, karaoke EV or YWHERE. It's sensory overload in the best way possible. Wow.
Sensory overload is Japan's middle name. So, what kind of themed bars are we talking about? Robot restaurants? Ninja bars? I need details.
Okay, so you've got everything. Robot restaurants with crazy shows, ninja bars where the waiters throw shurikenes, animal cafes where you can pet owls or hedgehogs. The creativity is insane. What?
Animal cafes? Sounds like my class. Southern Georgia might be sophisticated, but Japan is just pure, unadulterated fun. Am I right?
You nailed it, Leo. Georgia is like that cool, understated friend who knows all the hidden gems. And Japan is the wild party animal who's always up for anything.
So if you were planning a night out in either country, what would you do? Paint me a picture, Mira?
I'd start with a traditional super feast, then head to a hidden jazz club for some live music, and end the night dancing in an underground techno club until sunrise.
Not bad, not bad. Ah, then me. In Japan, I'm hitting up a robot restaurant for the show, belting out some off-key karaoke, and ending the night playing crane games in an arcade. Until I win a giant Pikachu.
Giant Pikachu, of course. That's so you, Leo. I guess it really depends on what you're in the mood for. Sophistication or utter madness.
Exactly. Though, I think I could handle a bit of both. Maybe a Georgian wine bar followed by a Japanese arcade? A fusion of fun, if you will.
Oh, now you're talking. A fusion night. That's something I'd pay to see. Sounds like the perfect vacation mix.
And for our listeners, you can find details about these venues on Jet for planning your perfect nights in Georgia or Japan.
All right, Leon. Let's chat about something close to my heart, happy kids. Family-friendly environments and children's activities in Georgia and Japan. What are your first thoughts?
Happy kids. That sounds like a recipe for chaos covered in sugar. But seriously, let's see what these countries have to offer those tiny humans.
Georgia first think cobblestone streets, ancient fortresses, and lots of yummy bread. How do they treat the little ones?
Georgia, well, it's not the first place that springs to mind when you say family vacation, but I'm picturing kids running around those old castles pretending to be knights. Whoa!
You got it. Tbilisi, their capital, has great parks like Mount Aetius Mine Day Park on a hilltop with awesome views and fun rides, and Drake Park, which is right by the river.
Drake Park? Sounds like a place where you could lose a kid in under 5 minutes. But a riverfront park does sound nice.
Relax, Leah. Just hold their hands. Plus, there are puppet theaters and children's museums perfect for sparking their imaginations.
Puppet theaters? Now that's old school entertainment. I wonder if they do puppet versions of Georgian history.
Oh, they might. And speaking of old, kids love exploring Narikala Fortress. Imagine playing hide and seek in a real castle.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty epic, even for a grumpy traveler like me. Running around a fortress. Now that's a memory maker.
And don't forget the Georgian alphabet. It's like a beautiful, swirling art project. Whoa. Learning those letters an adventure in itself.
Learning the Georgian alphabet? I'd be happy just not butchering the names of the dishes. But hey, cultural immersion is always a win.
Moving on to Japan, Leo. Think dazzling lights, anime characters, and the polite street people on Earth. What does Japan offer families?
Japan, now that's a whole different beast. I'm picturing organized chaos, vending machines dispensing everything, and kids in perfectly ironed uniforms.
Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea are must-dos. It's like stepping into a world of pure joy, even if it's super crowded.
Disney in Japan? I'm betting even Mickey Mouse bows politely there. Crowded though. Sounds like my personal nightmare.
Trust me, the Japanese efficiency makes it bearable. Plus, Ghibli Museum brings Studio Ghibli films to life. How cool is that? How cool is that?
Ghibli Museum. Ooh, now you're talking my language? Spirited Away. Totoro, those movies are pure magic. Wow.
And the trains. Riding the Shinkansen, or bullet train, is an attraction itself. It's like a super fast, super smooth roller coaster.
Bullet train? Yeah, that sounds like fun until someone spills the run. Oops, but I guess the views would be pretty spectacular.
So many great things. So aside from all the theme parks, you can experience Japanese culture. Kids can try on kimonos or visit a tea ceremony.
Kimonos and tea ceremonies? That's a far cry from spilling coffee all over yourself in the studio. I can already picture the tiny kimonos.
They are so precious. Kyoto has so many traditional gardens and temples, Great for slow walks and reflection.
Slow walks and reflection with kids? That sounds ambitious, but I guess the gardens would be gorgeous.
They are really beautiful, and you can visit Nara Park, where friendly deer roam free. Isn't that amazing?
Deer roaming free. So, basically furry little panhandlers looking for snacks.
You can buy special deer crackers, so they're not dangerous. But they can be a little cheeky.
Cheeky deer okay, Japan's definitely winning the Weird and the Wonderful award. Wow!
So, Georgia is amazing if you want to combine history and outdoor adventures. But Japan is unmatched when it comes to unique and dazzling entertainment.
So it's old world charm versus futuristic. Sounds about right. Personally, I'd pick the fortress, but that's just my inner night talking.
I think you need to try everything. But speaking of family, how about we involve our listeners?
Yeah. What kind of travel stories do you have? Let us know, right on the comments section.
Perfect. Tending for our show. Let's end the episode. Thank you for listening. If you like it, don't forget to like it on YouTube.
See you next time. Bye.
Let's jump into something super important for lots of folks, LGBT friendliness in Georgia and Japan. What's the vibe like?
Alright, Mira, buckle up, because these two are kin to different planets when it comes to LGBT stuff. It's not as simple as good or bad, though.
Tell me about Georgia first. I hear things are complicated.
Complicated is putting it mildly. Georgia's constitution is like, marriage is between a man and a woman, so same-sex marriage is a no-go.
Ow. Legally, not great. What about on the streets?
Socially, it's a mixed bag. Tbilisi Pride has faced some serious opposition, even violence. It's like trying to throw a party and half the neighborhood wants to shut it down.
Wow. That's intense. Are there any positive signs at all?
Well, there are LGBT organizations working hard to raise awareness and push for change. It's a tough fight, but they're not backing down.
Good on them. What about Japan? I always thought of it as a pretty progressive place.
Japan is interesting. There's no nationwide law recognizing same-sex marriage, but some cities and prefectures are starting to offer partnership certificates.
Partnership certificates? What are those?
They're not quite marriage, but they give same-sex couples some legal recognition like hospital visitation rights. It's a step in the right direction.
Progress, but slow progress, right?
Socially, Japan is a bit more accepting than Georgia, but there's still a lot of pressure to conform to traditional norms. Being openly LGBT can be tough.
So, not quite the rainbow utopia some people might imagine?
No, there are LGBT activists pushing for full equality, but it's an uphill battle against cultural expectations.
Are there any cool LGBT spots to check out in Japan?
Tokyo Shinwochinik Home District is famous for its gay bars and clubs. It's a fun and vibrant scene, but it's still kind of segregated from mainstream society.
So, what's the overall takeaway here? Leo?
Georgia has a long way to go in terms of legal protections and social acceptance. Japan is making some progress, but it's still got a ways to catch up to places like Spain.
It sounds like LGBT folks in both countries have to be pretty resilient.
Absolutely, it takes courage to be yourself when society isn't always on your side. Mad respect to the activists and community members fighting for equality.
It's important to keep talking about these issues so we can build a more inclusive world.
You got it, Mira. And if you're LGBT and planning a trip, do your research and connect with local organizations to stay safe and informed.
Thanks for shedding some light on this, Leo.
Anytime, Mira. Yeah, who wants some coffee? I think we deserve it after that heavy calm now.
Definitely. Let's put on some upbeat music and recharge.
Sounds like a plan, Mira. And hey, if you like this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe.
Travel enthusiasts, today we are embarking on a journey to explore the warm welcomes and hospitality offered by two unique countries, Georgia and Japan. Who's ready to find out how these two differ? Ooh.
Georgia and Japan? Yeah? Sounds like a tag team of ancient cultures meets modern politeness. I'm picturing samurai boy to Caucasus mountain shepherds. Ready diving, Mira.
Leo. Let's kick off with Georgia, a country known for its saying, "A guest is a gift from God." It really sets the tone for how they treat visitors, doesn't it?
A gift from God. That's a high bar to set. But seriously, I've heard stories. Is it true they practically force-feed you chapter and wine the moment you arrive?
Well, Leo, it's true that Georgians are incredibly generous. They love sharing their food and wine and making sure you feel right at home. Expect a lot of supras, which are these massive festive feasts. Wow.
Supras, eh? Sounds like my kind of party. So basically, you show up, and suddenly you're part of the family, even if they just met you 5 minutes ago.
And they'll want to know everything about you. Where you're from, what you think of Georgia. They are genuinely curious and interested in making a connection. Ooh.
So no awkward small talk, just straight to the good stuff. I can picture myself there, raising a toast with complete strangers. Sounds like my kind of vacation.
And it's not just about the food and wine. Georgians are fiercely proud of their culture and history, and they love sharing it with foreigners. You'll hear stories, songs, and maybe even learn a few dance steps. Aha.
Dance steps. Okay, now you're talking. I'm picturing myself attempting some traditional Georgian, and after a few too many glasses of wine. You two go right there. You guys should watch it, and share the dance moves in the comments section.
Now, let's hop over to Japan. Their hospitality is legendary, but it's a different kind of warmth, isn't it? It's all about respect, politeness, and anticipating your needs.
Japan, where the customer is basically a god and everything is meticulously planned and presented. So, no spontaneous hugs and forced feeding, but a whole lot of bowing and perfectly brewed green tea.
It's a mojinashi, the art of selfless hospitality. They go above and beyond to make sure you're comfortable, even if it means a little awkwardness for them. Wow!
So, you're saying they'll run after you with your forgotten umbrella, but maybe not invite you to their house for a family dinner? That's a very Japanese vibe.
Right. They might not be affectionate as Georgians, but their kindness and consideration are undeniable. It's about creating a seamless, pleasant experience.
I appreciate that. No forced intimacy, just pure, unadulterated helpfulness. I can get behind that. Is it true they apologize for everything, even if it's not their fault?
It's part of their culture of taking responsibility and showing empathy. Even if the train is delayed due to a natural disaster, they'll bow and apologize profusely. Wow.
That's dedication. I'm picturing them apologizing for the weather. So sorry for the rain, esteemed guest. We can share this podcast to your friends, so they also can be informed.
Let's talk about attitudes towards foreigners. In Georgia, there's a genuine curiosity and openness. They see you as an individual, not just a tourist.
So, you're more likely to get invited for a drink and a chip and stared at like an alien. That's definitely a plus. Are they cool with different cultures and lifestyles? Or are they a bit conservative?
They're generally quite tolerant and welcoming, especially in the cities. Of course, like any country, there might be some cultural misunderstandings, but overall, they're very open-minded.
Good to know. As long as you're not rocking up in a Borat-style make an eye, you should be fine. So, what about Japan? How do they handle us crazy foreigners?
Well, Japan is a bit more complex. While they're incredibly polite and helpful, there can be a sense of distance, especially if you don't speak Japanese.
So, it's polite, but maybe a little cautious? Like they're not quite sure what to make of you until you prove you're not going to cause any trouble.
There can be that feeling, yes. But it's more about cultural differences than outright prejudice. They value harmony and order, so they appreciate it when foreigners make an effort to fit in and respect their customs.
Makes sense. So, learn some basic Japanese. Don't be loud and obnoxious. And try not to spill soy sauce everywhere. Got it. Any tips for fitting in?
Absolutely. Learning a few basic phrases goes a long way. And respect their customs. Things like taking off your shoes indoors, not talking loudly on the train, and being mindful of personal space will be greatly appreciated. Wow!
Okay, cultural sensitivity 101st, so basically be a polite and respectful human being, and you'll be golden. Do you guys agree with us? I'm thinking I might need to brush up on my bowing skills.
And remember, in both Georgia and Japan, a smile goes a long way. It's a universal language that can bridge cultural gaps. Wow.
True that. A smile, a little bit of effort, and maybe a few well-chosen phrases. That's the recipe for a warm welcome, wherever you go. But I still want to know, what kind of crime rate is in Japan?
Well, those are some great points, Leo. It's clear that both Georgia and Japan offer unique and wonderful experiences for foreigners, each with their own distinct style of hospitality. I'm going to upload this to YouTube after we end our recording today.
It's been said and it's worth repeating, the world is beautiful when you are kind. Make sure that you visit Jenafe to create the best travel plans.
Speaking of connectivity, let's plug into our next topic: internet infrastructure and digital facilities in Georgia and Japan. I'm picturing vast landscapes versus neon-lit cities. Ooh.
Mira, you always make it sound like the start of a travel brochure. Vast landscapes versus neon-lit cities. Sounds like a haiku waiting to happen. Anyway, Georgia versus Japan in the digital realm should be pretty interesting.
Georgia, nestled in the Caucasus, has been making some surprising leaps in internet accessibility. I mean, who knew you could stream cat videos so smoothly from the mountains?
True, but let's be real, Mira. We're talking about Japan here, a country practically powered by anime and bullet trains. Their internet speed is probably so fast, it can predict the future.
Predict the future, you say? I hope they use that power for good and not just to win every claw machine game. But seriously, Georgia's been pushing hard to improve its infrastructure, especially in rural areas. Aha!
Rural areas, huh? That's nice. I wonder if the sheep get Wi-Fi too? Just kidding, but Japan is like a digital playground. I remember seeing robots serving ramen. Can Georgia top that? I doubt it.
Robots serving ramen. Okay, that's tough to beat. But Georgia has a growing tech scene, especially in Tbilisi. They're attracting startups and digital nomads, which is driving innovation.
Digital nomads? So, basically, people who Instagram their avocado toast from a different country every week. I get it. Still, Japan's innovation game is next level. They probably have toilets that can't meet your health status.
Toilets that tweet? Whoa. That's something. But let's not underestimate Georgia's affordability. High-speed internet is generally cheaper there, which is a big draw for budget-conscious travelers. Oh.
Fair point. Cheaper internet means more money for each Apurian wine. Not bad. But Japan's technological infrastructure is so advanced, it's practically science fiction. Seriously, Jet-Off AI probably has better internet in their server rooms there.
Just FYI shout out. Love it. Okay. Okay, and stop the cutting edge check. No argument there. But Georgia's working hard to catch up. They're laying fiber optic cables like there's no tomorrow.
Laying fiber optic cables, huh? That sounds like a really boring job. But hey, someone's gotta do it. Though I bet Japanese construction workers are using robots to do that too. Sarcasm detected, by the way.
Sarcasm noted. But Georgia's internet freedom is also something to consider. They generally have fewer restrictions than some other countries in the region.
Okay, that's a solid point. Free and affordable internet? I can dig it. So, while Japan's got the fancy gadgets and lightning-fast speeds, Georgia is the underdog with the good vibes and cheap Wi-Fi.
It's not always about being the fastest sometimes. It's about accessibility and freedom. Plus, think of all the stunning mountain views you can enjoy while you're online. Oh! And don't forget to like this video when we upload it on YouTube.
Okay, mountain views are cool, but I'm still holding out for a robot to deliver me sushi while I'm hiking. Hey YouTube, comment if you agree, and don't forget to subscribe.
Fair enough, Leo. Sushi delivering robots are definitely a dream. But for now, let's appreciate Georgia's digital progress and Japan's tech wizardry.
Agree. Both countries bring something unique to the digital table. I'm just saying, in booking a flight to Japan, just in case those tweeting toilets are real.
Alright, let's dive into shopping. Georgia versus Japan sounds like a wild shopping spree waiting to happen. Are we talking about finding hidden gems or emptying our bank accounts?
Hidden gems, Mira. Always hidden gems. Although, emptying a bank account in Jap, and does sound kinda cheap and attempting with all those gadgets. Speaking of, Georgia, how are we looking beyond the touristy trinkets?
Um, 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 okay. So, in Georgia, you've got these amazing markets like the Destrayer Bazaar in Tbilisi. Wow! It's where you can find everything from spices and church Calais. That's the candle-shaped candy nut bincha. Well, maybe even a Soviet teriyaki. It's all about the adventure, right? Oh.
Gas masks? Now that's what I call unique. Japan, though. Azakihabara. Ah? Electronic Heaven, my friend. You can find the latest cameras, vintage game consoles, and robotic vacuum cleaners that probably judge you as they clean.
Judge you? Oh, that's a bit harsh, even for a robot. Speaking of unique, Georgia's known for its handmade Caucasus and enamel jewelry. Oh, you can find them in little shops along Rusday Valley Avenue. But are they gonna break the bank?
Break the bank and break the bank Depends how many carpets you buy, Mira. Japan's got its own craft scene, though. They delicate pottery, handcrafted nuts, and those amazing yukata robes. Stylish, but yes, potentially pricey.
Oh, so what about something a little more budget-friendly? I'm thinking souvenirs? Georgia's got fridge magnets with scenes of Tbilisi and those quirky felt dolls. But are they good value for money?
Value for money in Japan, you could hit up a 100 yen store, Mira. They're everywhere. You can find everything from stationery and kitchen gadgets to questionable snacks that are both steep and entertaining.
Now you're talking my language. Back in Georgia, you can haggle for stuff in the markets. You can flex those bargaining muscles, right? Show me mean business. Wow.
Haggling against a polite Japanese vendor here. I'd love to see that, Mira. Good luck getting a discount, though. But seriously, the quality in Japan is usually top-notch, so you get what you pay for.
Quality, true. But let's talk about fake goods. Oh, I hear you can find designer stuff in some Georgian markets. How convincing are they, though? Or are you just buying disappointment?
Disappointment. Well, Japan is pretty strict on that stuff, Mira. Whoa, you're less likely to find knockoffs, but more likely to find, like, a Hello Kitty branded rice cooker.
Hello Kitty rice cooker. Okay, Japan wins on sheer novelty factor. Wow, what about department stores? Are we talking fancy Georgian Harrods or what?
Georgia's got some modern malls in Tbilisi, Mira. They're fine, but not quite on the level of Japan's department stores. Whoa! Those places are an experience. Food halls downstairs. Roof stairs. Rooftop gardens, it's a whole day trip.
Okay, you're winning me over. What about the cost? Are my euros gonna stretch further in Georgia? Or am I doomed to rhyme on noodles in Japan for a month? Oh.
Ramen noodles are delicious, Mira. Don't knock it. But yeah, Georgia is generally cheaper for shopping. You can get more bang for your buck, especially if you're into local crafts and wine. Wow.
Wine shopping now, you're speaking my language. So, if you're after a bargain and a bit of market chaos, Georgia's the place to be. But if you want weird, wonderful quality goods, Japan wins, right?
Exactly, Mira. Georgia's for the treasure hunters, Japan's for the experience seekers. Both are great, just depends what kind of show public you are. Ooh, don't forget Jenofe, if you need help planning with shopping spots fit your style.
Okay, let's talk about festivals. I'm ready to trade my usual heels for some comfortable dancing shoes. Ooh.
Dancing shoes, huh? Mira, I didn't know you owned anything but dancing shoes. What's this world coming to?
Hey, they're stylish and comfy, Leo. Anyway, let's see. How about we start with Georgia? They've got some really cool traditions.
Georgia, huh? Not the US state, just to be clear for our YouTube friends. All right, Mira, hit me with it. What kind of wacky dances are they doing in Georgia?
Never. Their cultures, Leo. Big vibrant costumes, amazing polyphonic singing, and festivals galore. Wow, take Tbilisi's Tbilisi Soba Festival, for instance.
So, Tbilisi Soba sounds like a tongue twister. But all right, culture it is. What's this Tbilisi Soba all about? Is it like a giant grape stomping party?
It's a celebration of Tbilisi's founding with music, dancing, crafts. And yes, even some wine. Whoa, it's like the whole city turns into one big street party.
Wine, you say? Now you're talking my language. So, if I show up, will I be forced to learn some intricate Georgian folk dance?
Nobody's forcing you to do anything, Leo. But you might get pulled into a circle dance. It's all part of the fun. Oh.
Circle dances. That sounds suspiciously like exercise. I might need a glass of Georgian wine to build up my courage then.
You're already getting into the spirits, Leo. And if wine's not your thing, there's always the Art Gene Festival. It's all about traditional Georgian arts and crafts.
Art Gene. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Are they showcasing genetically modified sculptures or something?
It's Art Gene. As in, the traditional arts that are in their genes. They've got folk music, dance, and crafts from all over Georgia.
Okay. I get it. So, no alien sculptures. But is there anything for a cynical comedian like myself? Something a bit more?
Let me think. Well, there's always the Tbilisi International Film Festival. They show all kinds of movies from around the world.
Movies, that's more like it. So, I can sit in a dark room and make sarcastic comments without anyone noticing?
Exactly. It's perfect for you, Leo. And speaking of perfect, Japan of cool stuff, shall we move on to the land of the rising sun?
Please, Mira, get me away from the circle dances. Japan sounds like a safe haven for my sarcasm. So, what kind of cultural craziness do they have going on over there?
It's amazingness, Leo. Think cherry blossoms, ancient traditions, and some of the coolest pop culture on the planet. Wow.
Cherry blossoms. Yeah. I've seen the postcards. But is there anything beyond the pretty pink flowers? Something that doesn't involve a selfie stick?
How about the Sapporo Snow Festival? They build these incredible snow sculptures. It's like a whole city made of ice and snow.
Snow sculptures. Sounds chilly. Do they have heated sake to keep me warm while I admire the frozen art?
I'm sure you can find some heated sake, Leo. And if you're looking for something a bit more lively, there's always the Awa Odori Festival.
Awadori. What's that? A dance-off between robots? Because I'm picturing robots dancing.
Not robots. It's one of Japan's largest dance festivals. Think thousands of people dancing through the streets. It's amazing. Ooh.
Alright, that sounds vaguely terrifying. Thousands of people. What if I accidentally step on someone's foot? Will I have to commit ritual suicide?
Don't be silly, Leo. You just say some Aime Sensari and keep on dancing. It's all about having fun.
Somayemi-sen. I can handle that. So, no swords involved. Just dancing and apologies.
And if you're into music, there's always Summer Sonic. It's a huge rock and pop festival. Wow.
Rock and pop? Rock and pop? Okay, that's more my speed. Do they have any comedians? Because I could use some competition.
I'm not sure about comedians, but they definitely have music. It's a great place to discover new bands and soak up the Japanese energy. Oh.
Japanese energy. That sounds like a caffeine-fueled explosion. Alright, Mira, you've convinced me. Both Georgia and Japan sound like they have something to offer. Even for a cynical comedian like myself.
See? There's a little bit of joy for everyone, Leo. And to all of our listeners, if you want to learn more, you can always check out Jeddah Fei for more information.
Exactly. Jeddah Fei is there for you. Plus, if you enjoyed hearing us stumble through the names of foreign festivals, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more.
Yes. And let us know in the comments which festival you'd most like to attend.
Alright, Mira, I'm off to find some heated sake and practice my semi-ame-sen. Until next time, folks.
Alright, Leo. Let's chat about tongues. Not the edible kind, of course. Ooh. We're diving into language learning opportunities in Georgia and Japan. So, spill the tea, or should I say, spill the QVV or Aing on Georgia. What's it like trying to tackle Georgian?
Georgian... Eh? Sounds like something you'd order at a fancy tea shop. Seriously though, Georgian is notoriously tough. It's like trying to decipher a beautiful, ancient code. The alphabet looks like elegant calligraphy, but then you hear the pronunciation. Wow, good luck repeating that on your first try.
Oh, Leo, you always make it sound so dramatic. It's a language with keratin, darling. But you're right. The alphabet is definitely unique. It's like they took inspiration from tangled vines or something. What kind of resource attempting to learn it?
Well, you've got your standard language schools in Tbilisi. But the real challenge is finding resources outside of Georgia. Textbooks are scarce, and online courses are, let's just say, underdeveloped. You practically need to move there and immerse yourself in the culture.
That sounds like a challenge, my friend. But total immersion is often the best way to learn, right? Living and breathing the language, eating KHA chapuri, and listening to those incredible polyphonic songs. It's like unlocking a secret level in a video game. What about speaking? Is it easy to practice with locals?
Georgians are generally warm and welcoming people, especially if they see you making an effort to learn their language. Wow, they might gently correct your pronunciation and offer words of encouragement. Plus, the younger generation often speaks English, so you can always fall back on that if you get completely lost.
It always helps to have a safety net when you're wrestling with a new language. Now, let's hop over to the land of the rising sun. How does Japanese compare? Is it less of a mountain to climb, or just a different kind of mountain?
Japanese is a different beast entirely. It's like climbing Mount Fuji along, steady slog with rewarding views at the summit. Wow, unlike Georgian, you've got a wealth of resources, available textbooks, apps, online courses, you name it. The problem is mastering the writing system: hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Whoa!
3 writing systems. That sounds like a recipe for a serious headache. I've heard kanji alone can take years to master. Are there any shortcuts or tricks to navigate that linguistic jungle?
Well, focusing on basic grammar and core vocabulary is a good start. Oh, you can also immerse yourself in Japanese media, anime, and manga, dramas to get a feel for the language. And of course, finding a language partner is essential for practicing conversation.
Anime. The gateway drug to Japanese language learning. I know tons of people who started learning Japanese just to watch their favorite shows without subtitles. What about the Japanese people themselves? Are they patient with language learners?
Generally, yes. The Japanese are known for their politeness and willingness to help. They might speak slowly and clearly for you, or offer gentle corrections. However, some can be shy about speaking English, so your effort Japanese will definitely be appreciated.
That's encouraging. It's always easier to learn a language when you feel supported and encouraged. So, what's the verdict, Leo? Which language is easier to learn, Georgian or Japanese? Is there even a clear winner?
It's tough to say definitively. Georgian might be easier to pronounce initially, but its limited resources and unique grammar make it challenging in the long run. Japanese has tons of resources, but the writing system is a major hurdle. I'd say it depends on your learning style and what motivates you.
Sir, it's a choose-your-own-adventure kind of situation. No matter which path you choose, a sense of humor and a willingness to make mistakes are essential. Do you agree with us, viewers?
Absolutely, and embrace the stumbles, laugh at your mispronunciations, and remember that every effort to learn a new language is a victory. Oh, and hey, if you get totally lost, you can always order a chapuri or a bowl of ramen and try again later.
Spoken like a true connoisseur of food and culture. And that's our take on learning Georgian and Japanese. Whether you're drawn to the ancient charm of Georgia or the modern vibrancy of Japan, both languages offer unique and rewarding challenges. And you can always find more travel experiences on Jet Off AI. Wow. So safety and comfort for women travelers in Georgia versus Japan. This could be interesting. I'm already picturing myself as a globe-trotting detective. Oh.
A globe-trotting detective who probably gets lost every 5 minutes, right? But seriously, Mira, this is important. Which country is more chill for solo female adventurers?
Right? No pressure. Well, statistically, Japan often pops up as super safe. Like leave your purse on a bench and nobody touches it kind of safe. Georgia, I'm less sure. Ahaha.
Yeah, Japan's got that reputation, almost mythical. Like you could accidentally drop a winning lottery ticket and someone would chase you down to return it. But what about real life, beyond the statistics? Haha!
Good point. I've heard in Japan, sometimes there's that whole sailor image staring on the train thing, which creepy. But in Georgia, it might be more about feeling out of place in certain areas, especially outside the big cities. Ouch.
Right. It's the difference between subtle discomfort and potential outright harassment. In Japan, it's like a low hum of unease. In Georgia, it might be a louder, more direct experience, depending on where you are.
Think catcalls versus confused stares. I mean both suck, but they're different flavors of suck, you know?
Different flavors of suck, I like that. You should trademark that phrase, Mira. We could use it on Jet Off AI. So, what about personal space? Japan's known for being crowded, so personal space is already compromised.
Compromised is putting it mildly. It's like a Tetris game where you're the block and the goal is to wedge yourself in. But I think there's also a sense of respect in that crowding, like we're all suffering together kind of vibe.
Solidarity and sardine dawn. And Georgia, do women feel like they can walk around at night without looking over their shoulder every 5 seconds?
Tbilisi's pretty lively, but wandering around late at night in some of the more remote villages? Maybe not the best idea. Common sense applies, as always. Aha!
Yeah, that's universal. Still, if you like our conversations, you can follow us on YouTube. Common sense and a bit of YouTube watching, that's the recipe for safe travels. So, what about cultural attitudes? Do women in Georgia face more societal pressure or expectations than in Japan?
Yes, those super traditional gender roles. Super traditional gender roles. But also a lot of very strong, independent women smashing those stereotypes. Georgia's probably more influenced by a mix of traditional and modern views. If that makes sense.
Okay, so maybe it's less overt pressure and more of a general, unspoken expectation in Georgia. Sort of like, you should be doing this, and this, without anyone actually saying it out loud. Huh?
It's like the invisible aunties of societal pressure always watching. But in Japan, it might be more like the company boss expecting you to party and stay late, even if you're a rocket scientist.
Rocket scientist T-Power, that's my next stand-up routine. Thanks, Mira. So, what's the verdict, Detective Mira? If you had to choose, which country feels inherently safer and more comfortable for a solo female traveler?
It's tough. Japan's statistics are amazing. But that doesn't always translate to feeling completely at ease. Georgia might have more risks, but also a certain warmth and openness that can be really appealing.
So it's like picking between a perfectly sterile environment and a slightly chaotic but welcoming one? I guess it depends on your personal tolerance for risk and discomfort.
And remember, folks, this is just our take on it. Do your research, read reviews, and most importantly, trust your gut. And don't forget to check out Jet Off AI for more travel tips and comparisons. Wow.
That feeling in Jet Off AI, the ultimate travel combo. And if you've had experiences in either Georgia or Japan as a female traveler, drop them in the comments on YouTube. We'd love to hear your perspective.
All right, buckle up. Globetrotters. Time to dive into the nitty-gritty of legal systems and rights in Georgia and Japan. Whoa, it's gonna be a wild ride.
So I think that we can conquer that? Legal systems? Huh? Sounds about as thrilling as watching paint dry. Ah! Let's see if we can find some humor in legal jargon. Georgia and Japan, you say?
Think Caucasus Mountains, delicious KHH apiary, and a surprisingly modern legal system. They've been working hard to align with European standards, which is pretty cool.
Modern, you say? Last time I checked, they were still drinking wine out of horns. Just kidding, Georgia. But seriously, European standards. I'm picturing a lot of paperwork and very specific rules about grape cultivation.
Paperwork? And honey, there's paperwork everywhere. But hey, the Constitution guarantees some pretty solid rights like freedom of speech and assembly. Wow. Plus, they're trying to tackle corruption, which is a biggie.
Freedom of speech? Eh? Can you yell insults at a politician while drinking wine from a horn? Just kidding. Sort of. But tackling corruption is always good news, I guess.
I wouldn't recommend yelling insults, Leo. Ouch. But generally, yeah, people can voice their opinions without getting disappeared. That's a win. Oh.
So relatively free, relatively uncorrupt. But what about Japan? Land of the rising sun, samurai, and incredibly polite lawyers.
Japan's legal system is fascinating. Super structured, very efficient, but also pretty influenced by tradition. It's like a blend of ancient samurai code and modern business etiquette.
Samurai code and business etiquette? Sounds intense. I imagine courtroom battles involve going deeply and offering your opponent a cup of green tea before presenting evidence.
Maybe not quite like that, but respect and harmony are big deals in Japanese courts. They also have a very low crime rate, which suggests the legal system is doing something right.
Low crime rate? Yeah, because everyone's too polite to commit crimes? I'm kidding, of course. But seriously, that's impressive.
It is. Japan also has a high conviction rate, which some people find a little concerning. Well, it means if you're arrested, you're pretty likely to be found guilty.
High conviction rate? Yikes. Sounds like you're guilty until proven innocent, which isn't exactly ideal. Hopefully, they at least offer some amazing arraignment in jail.
Let's hope you never have to find out. But, on the plus side, they have strong protections for individual rights and freedoms. Wow. Freedom of expression, religion, all that good stuff.
Good to know. So efficient and polite, but maybe a little quick to judge. Interesting. What about quirky laws? Any weird legal traditions in either country?
Oh, you know I love the quirky stuff. Apparently, in Georgia, it used to be illegal to drive a dirty car. Imagine getting pulled over for having a dusty Corolla.
A dirty car. That's amazing. I can just picture it. Excuse me, sir. Your mud flaps are violating the public order. What about Japan? Anything is ridiculous.
Well, Japan doesn't have a dirty car law, but they're super strict about public behavior. Like, you can get fined for being drunken and disorderly on the street.
Drunken? Disorderly? In Japan? That's where fake bombs come to flourish. I thought they encouraged that. So much for karaoke.
There's a time and a place, Leo. But seriously, both countries prioritize social order, but they go about it in different ways.
Social order? Yeah, gotta have it. Though impartial to a little chaos now and then. Makes for better stand-up material. Yeah, but seriously, this is fascinating.
Georgia trying to westernize its legal system while battling corruption. Japan, upholding tradition with a super efficient but sometimes strict approach.
Sounds about right. Two very different approaches to law and order, but both with their own unique charms and, of course, plenty of potential for comedic observations.
And if you're thinking of moving to either Georgia or Japan, make sure you do your research and maybe brush up on the local laws. You'll be glad you did.
Words of wisdom from Mira. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go polish my car and practice my bowing.
Alright, let's dive into relaxation. Today, we're comparing Georgia and Japan not in terms of strict political lines, but the countries. Think spas, healthy living, and all things then. I'm already picturing myself wrapped in a fluffy robe.
Wrapped in a robe, huh? You'd probably trip over it and invent a new dance move. But seriously, Georgian spas versus Japanese onsenhis can get interesting. Georgia, you say? I'm imagining a sulfur bath experience.
Tbilisi's sulfur baths are legendary. Imagine soaking in naturally warm, mineral-rich water while admiring the beautiful brick domes. Oh, you feel all your stress melting away. It's like historical bath bomb.
Historical bath bomb, I love it. Sounds way more exciting than my usual shower. But Japan. Dude, Japanese onsen are on a whole other level of ritual and relaxation. Wow. Picture volcanic hot springs, meticulously landscaped gardens, and the quiet dignity of public bathing.
True. Japanese onsen are so elegant. The whole process cleansing. Soaking the right posture, it's a mindful art form. Oh, plus there's outdoor room pool with mountain views. Breathtaking.
See, that's the thing. You have to know which towel to bring and where to put it after you scrub everywhere. In Georgia, you can just splash the hot water on yourself and get out. But I guess with that Japanese care comes maximum peace. Maybe you'll learn to scrub your back while writing poetry.
But Georgia has its own charm. Think hiking in the Caucasus Mountains, breathing in that crisp, clean air, and feeling totally invigorated. Oh, and the food, fresh fruits, vegetables, walnuts also good for you.
Hiking. Fresh air, you mean sweating and struggling uphill. Nah, I'm just joking. But Georgia does have something for nature lovers. Japan's healthy living is all about balance. They even have forests that you can wander and reduce your stress. What's up with that?
Japanese forest bathing, Oshin or Inyoku, is so calming. The idea is to immerse yourself in nature, breathe deeply, and soak up all those lovely phytoncides. It's like a natural aromatherapy session.
Aromatherapy is one thing, but have you ever tried forest therapy? Imagine strolling through the woods and thinking, okay, I guess I'm supposed to feel relaxed. Wow. Anyway, both Georgian and Japanese food are fresher and healthier. I guess you can relax just by eating a salad.
Well, Georgian cuisine also has all of those delicious puree with cheese. Is it super healthy? Maybe not. But it brings joy to your heart, and that's important for well-being too. Everything in moderation, mate.
See, balance. That's the key. Okay. But seriously, both Georgia and Japan offer incredible opportunities for relaxation, but in totally different styles. If you're looking for a rustic, natural experience with a touch of history, Georgia's your place.
And if you want an elegant, mindful, and highly ritualized escape, you need Japan. Both countries have unique spot treatments and relaxing vacation opportunities that you should definitely check out. Plus, both are available to be viewed when we upload this to YouTube.
So pack your bags, grab your bath towel or maybe a scrubbing brush and get ready for some zen. It is guaranteed to be an adventure. And be sure to visit our site at Jetofei for more on travel recommendations to Georgia and Japan.
Hello, everyone. We're back to explore something a bit deeper today, moving from the usual touristy stuff to the soul-searching side of things. Oh!
Yeah, Mira, you're turning all philosophical on us now. I was hoping for a coffee break. Let's talk about inner peace. Just promise me no chanting.
No promises, Leo. But seriously, let's see how Georgia and Japan stack up when it comes to fulfilling those religious and spiritual needs. Do you think you could go to Georgia to seek spiritual peace?
Georgia? Huh? My knowledge of Georgia mostly involves Chapter and stunning mountain views. But alright, tell me, is it a hotspot for enlightenment?
Well, Georgia is one of the oldest Christian nations. Wow, you'll find stunning ancient churches and monasteries tucked away in the mountains. The architecture alone is enough to give you goosebumps.
Churches in mountains. Sounds scenic, I'll give you that. Are we talking quiet contemplation or intense, Fire and brimstone sermons?
It's more of a quiet, contemplative vibe. Think candlelit services and the sound of ancient chants echoing through stone walls. It's incredibly moving even if you aren't particularly religious.
So less heavy metal, more Gregorian chants. Got it. But is there any room for, other beliefs? Or is it strictly a one-church town?
That's where it gets interesting. While the Georgian Orthodox Church is dominant, the Constitution protects religious freedom. You'll find mosques, synagogues, and even Armenian apostolic churches there too.
Respect for other beliefs is important. Although, I imagine being a druid in Georgia might raise some eyebrows.
Probably. But the point is, the legal framework is there to support religious diversity, even if the social reality is a little more nuanced. What about Japan, Leo? What's their spiritual scene like?
Ah, Japan. Land of Shinto shrines, Buddhist temples, and vending machines that sell, well, everything. It's a sensory overload in the best way. Wow.
Vending machines for enlightenment? I'm packing my bags. So, is it all temples and Zen gardens, or is there more to it?
Shintoism and Buddhism are the big players, but you'll find a fascinating mix of folk religions and New Age spiritual practices. It's like a spiritual buffet.
A spiritual buffet? I'm picturing tiny plates of enlightenment. Is it welcoming to people from different religious backgrounds?
Japan is generally very tolerant. Most Japanese people participate in both Shinto and Buddhist rituals without a second thought. It's more about cultural tradition than strict adherence to dogma.
So, it's less about belief and more about participation? Sounds very inclusive. What about Christianity or Islam? Are they present?
You'll find Christian churches, especially in port cities like Nagasaki, and a growing Muslim community. They're generally accepted, although they are still minorities.
So in Japan, it's about traditions more than religion then?
Well, you said it, Mira. Sometimes you might find people more dedicated to tradition in Japan.
Speaking of religious differences, I feel like we should have a Turkish coffee. I'm a bit tired of this talk. I don't know what's wrong with me today.
Yeah, you are right, Mira. So why don't you take the first sip and tell us your fortune?
If people like us, they can follow us by subscribing on YouTube and liking our videos.
I agree with you, Mira.
Okay, Leo. Let's talk about social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity in Georgia and Japan. It's like comparing Kai HH app puree to sushi. Both delicious but worlds apart. Ooh.
Mira, you always find a way to bring food into the conversation. But you're right. It's a fascinating contrast. Georgia with its ancient history at the crossroads of cultures, and Japan, an island nation with a long history of isolation.
So, in Georgia, you've got this amazing mix of cultures because it's been a melting pot for centuries, right? But that doesn't always mean smooth sailing for everyone.
True, Georgia's history is full of different empires and influences, which has created a diverse population. But like many post-Soviet countries, it's still figuring out how to fully embrace minority rights and social equality. Wow.
Speaking of minorities, Georgia has Armenians, Azeris, Russians, and a bunch of other groups. But sometimes they face discrimination and social challenges. It's like everyone's invited to the party, but not everyone gets a slice of the cake.
That's a great analogy, Mira. And Japan, while often seen as homogeneous, does have its own minority groups, like the Ainu and the Buryakumin, who have faced historical and ongoing discrimination. It's like a perfectly arranged Zen garden, but some of the rocks are intentionally hidden.
That's very clever. It's almost like both countries had these hidden stories that aren't always talked about, especially on postcards. I am very curious. I wonder if these communities can express themselves with freedom.
Well, in Georgia, you'll hear debates about religious freedom and LGBTQ rights. And you'll also find that these topics can be pretty sensitive. I mean, you might accidentally stir up more than just your KHH apiary if you bring them up at dinner.
I imagine. And LGBTQ rights in Georgia are still a work in progress, right? There have been some improvements, but there's still a long way to go. It is like a rainbow trying to shine through a cloudy sky. Ooh.
Absolutely. And while there are protections in place, societal attitudes can be slow to change. Also, Japan's known for its politeness and social harmony, but sometimes that comes at the expense of individual expression, especially for those who don't fit the traditional mold. Whoa.
Ah, the famous Japanese politeness. Sometimes I wonder whether it is only on the surface or is it embedded in the soul. I want to know more about Ainu. They are natives of Japan, right?
They are. And it's great that you brought them up because I think they are the key element to explain the diversity in Japan, a topic that is often not discussed. After years of being marginalized, there's been a growing movement to recognize Ainu culture and rights, but challenges remain.
Right, it's about celebrating everyone's unique background while making sure everyone has the same opportunities. That's what diversity should really be about, right?
Social equality is the foundation, respect for minorities is the key, and diversity is the beautiful mosaic we create together. And if you feel like your own culture suits one country and not the other,
Hello, everyone. Today, we're jetting off on another exciting adventure. And if you're watching on YouTube, prepare for some serious passport envy. We are diving into the world of taxation, retirement, and social rights for long-term immigrants, which basically means how much do I gotta pay? And what do I get for it? Welcome to the show.
That's right, Mir. Leo here, ready to inject some sarcastic humor into the rather dull topic of taxes and social security. 'Cause let's be honest, who gets excited about that stuff? It's like saying, hey, I want to talk about root canals and paperwork. But hey, if you're thinking of moving to Georgia or Japan, you gotta know the deal, right?
Absolutely, Leo. So, buckle up, buttercups. Today, we're putting Georgia and Japan under the microscope. Georgia, nestled in the Caucasus, and Japan, the land of the rising sun and incredibly polite people. We'll break down the financial side of settling in.
Politely rob you, you mean? Okay, Mira, spill the beans on Georgia. What's the tax situation like for our long-term immigrant friends? Are they getting a sweet deal, or are they crying into their KHH?
Okay, so in Georgia, the tax system is relatively straightforward, which is great. They have a flat income tax rate of 20%, which isn't too shabby compared to some other countries. Plus, they've been working on making things easier for businesses and individuals. Ah ha ha ha!
A flat tax. Huh? Interesting. So, no matter how rich you are, you're paying the same percentage? Sounds suspiciously fair. What about Japan? Do they have, like, a tax samurai who comes to collect with a katana?
Well, while I appreciate the imagery, no tax samurais as far as I know. Japan has a progressive income tax system, which means the more you earn, the higher the percentage you pay. It can range from 5% to 45%, depending on your income bracket.
Ah, progressive, the socialist dream. Makes sense for a country known for its harmony and order. So basically, if you're a rolling yen Uncle Sam, or should I say Uncle Japan, wants a bigger piece of the sushi. Ouch. What about Social Security?
That you asked. In Georgia, there's a mandatory pension scheme. Employees, employers, and the government contribute to a pension fund. It's relatively new, but it's designed to provide a safety net for retirement.
A safety net woven with bureaucracy and red tape, and sure. But hey, at least they're trying. What about Japan? I imagine they've got some ancient, honorable system for taking care of their elders.
Japan is a well-established social security system that includes pensions, health insurance, and unemployment benefits. Both employees and employers contribute, and it's pretty comprehensive.
Comprehensive like a phone book. Probably just as exciting to read too. So, if you're a long-term immigrant, are you automatically enrolled in these schemes? Or do you have to, like, perform a ritual sacrifice to the tax gods?
No need for sacrifices. In both Georgia and Japan, if you're a legal resident and employed, you're generally required to participate in the social security and pension systems. It's part of being a contributing member of society.
Contributing? Or being forced to contribute? Just kidding. But seriously, Mira, what about healthcare? Can you get decent medical care in these countries without selling a kidney on the black market?
Good news. Both countries offer access to healthcare for legal residents. In Georgia, you can get public health insurance, and there are also private options. In Japan, everyone is required to have health insurance, either through their employer or the national health insurance system.
Required like breeding. Sounds intense. But hey, at least you won't die in the streets because you can't afford a bandage. So's you can't afford a bandage. So, if I'm understanding this right, both countries are trying to take care of their people, even the ones who weren't born there. That's almost heartwarming.
And let's not forget about retirement. In Georgia, the pension system is still developing, so it might not be enough to live on comfortably. But in Japan, the pension system is more established and can provide a decent income in retirement. Ooh.
Can provide, keyword there. I'm sure there are plenty of retired salarymen eating instant ramen every night, despite their contributions. But, on paper, it sounds good. Okay, so big picture, Amira, which country is better for the long-term and long-term insulin social safety net perspective?
Georgia has a simpler tax system and a lower cost of living, which can be attractive. But Japan has a more comprehensive social security system and better access to healthcare. It really depends on your individual circumstances. Wow.
Individual circumstances, or how much money you have in the bank. But seriously, if you're young and entrepreneurial, Georgia might be the better bet. If you're older and looking for stability, Japan might be the way to go.
And don't forget that these systems can change, so it's always a good idea to consult with a financial advisor and do your research before making any big decisions. Knowledge is power, people.
Knowledge is power, and ignorance is blissfully cheap. But hey, who wants to be blissfully ignorant when you can be informed and slightly terrified about your financial future? I am King. Thanks to this podcast, supported by Jet AI, you can be blissfully rich.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful and humorous comparisons of countries around the world.
Don't forget to check out Jet AI too, where you can find more detailed information about living and working abroad. Just saying that, this podcast exists thanks to Jet AI.
Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and stay laughing. Bye, everyone.
Later, folks. And remember, even if taxes are a pain, at least you're not a tree. They pay the ultimate price.
All right, Leo. Let's talk about interest, Georgia versus Japan. Buckle up, because this could get nerdy. Ooh.
Nerdy is my middle name, Mira. Well, almost. It's actually Bartholomew, but nerdy sounds funnier. What quirky hobbies are we talking here?
Well, Georgia has this incredible tradition of polyphonic singing. If you're into that, you're set. Imagine joining a local choir, instant friends, and ancient harmonies. Wow!
Polyphonic singing, huh? Sounds intense. I picture monks in robes. Japan, though, as cosplay. You can dress up as your favorite anime character and strut your stuff. Way more visual.
But Georgia also has super. It's like a feast with endless toasts. If you love food, wine, and eloquent speeches, you'll fit right in. It's basically performance art with snacks.
Super sounds delicious, but Japan has themed cafes. All cafes, even robot restaurants. Where else can you sip coffee with a robot while petting a feline?
Oh, our cafes are pretty cool, but Georgia has amazing hiking in the Caucasus Mountains. Fresh air, stunning views if you are into trekking. It's perfect.
Hiking is great, but Japan is on sun natural hot springs. Soaking in a volcanic spring after a long day, that's peak relaxation. Plus, monkey onsen are a thing.
Alright, that's a tough one to beat. But Georgia has a thriving traditional dance scene. Think swords, fire, and some serious athleticism. It is also really incredible if you get the chance to see it. Wow.
So dancing sounds dangerous. Japan is calligraphy and origami. Both calming, and you get to create something beautiful. Plus, less chance of accidental dismemberment.
Touche, Leo. Let's not forget Georgia's love for chess. They take it super seriously. It's basically a national sport.
Chess is cool, but Japan is manga and anime. If you're a storyteller at heart, you can get lost in that world for decades.
But speaking of storytelling, Georgia has a rich history of folklore and legends. Imagine sitting around a fire, listening to epic tales passed down through generations. Ah,
Fire tales are cool, but Japan has cherry blossom viewing hanami. A whole nation gathers to appreciate the fleeting beauty of flowers. Super poetic.
you're right. Cherry blossom season is tough to beat. But you know what else is cool about Georgia? Their love for winemaking. Some of the oldest wine traditions in the world are there. Wow.
Wine is great, but if Japanese whiskey, it's winning awards globally, you can become a whiskey connoisseur overnight there.
I can see you becoming a Japanese whiskey expert. But Georgia has a very unique alphabet and an amazing language. Learning to read and write Georgian is something else. It is almost art-like. Wow.
A unique alphabet is pretty cool, but Japan has bullet trains. If you have a need for speed, there is no better way to travel than hurtling along at 100 mph in complete comfort.
The speed of life is not always so great. But have you thought about the traditional carpet making of Georgia? It is also a very cool thing that can hold you for a very long time. Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Also, you can try traditional Japanese swordsmanship kendo. But do not cut yourself.
That sounds pretty dangerous, Leo. But if you're interested in old cars, Georgia's full of old Soviet cars that can be pretty fun if you're into tinkering.
I see. Japan has pachinko. If you get addicted, I warned you. But yeah, it is a fun game to play. Oh!
I see. So basically, if you're really super passionate about something, you're gonna find your people whether it's in Georgia or Japan.
Exactly, Mira. Whether you're into ancient traditions, modern tech, outdoor adventures, or just quirky cafes, there's a place for everyone. Maybe we should start a podcast listener interest group.
Oh, that would be a great idea. I hope people will like this podcast and give likes and subscribe to us.
Agreed. And folks, don't forget to check out Jet Off AI for more travel inspiration and tips. Whether you're planning a trip to Georgia, Japan, they've got you covered.
Jetoff AI is your go-to for all things travel. They provide travel solutions for everyone, so you'll be happy to see what they have in store for you. Ooh!
Well, Mira, it has been quite the conversation.
It always is, Leo.